Well, welcome to Protecting Every Future and our kitchen table conversation. Protecting Every Future is our community of people who are concerned and care about family financial security. And what better place to have those kind of conversations than at the kitchen table, even if it's a virtual table, because that's kind of the heartbeat of the house. And that's what this big topic is. Financial security is core to families and individuals and financial security. Certainly in the last year, financial security has been front and center as we've all wrestled with this massive public health crisis and the related shutdown of the economy. And it's just such an important topic to talk about. And we have the perfect guest to discuss this with today. I'm so honored to have Ted Mathas with us. He is CEO of New York Life, a storied life insurance company that is 175 years old. He also happens to be the chairman of the board at the American Council of Life Insurers, which represents the entire industry. Ted, we're very, very delighted to have you here today. Your company's weathered so much and now helping families weather the financial crisis. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Susan. Super happy to be with you today.
Well, I know that you had intended a big celebration about a year ago for the 175th birthday, and was with regret, like so many things had to be canceled. But as I reflect on it, what better way to mark 175 years than to be really there for people when they needed you most? So just talk a little about your perspective as you lead the company. What's the responsibility of the life insurance industry been in the middle of the global pandemic?
Yeah, well, you're right, Susan. For New York Life in particular, we're coming in 175 years, but we have an industry that's got decades and decades and decades and decades of making promises to people and living up to them. And we've done that through, all of the history of the world, right? So, World War I, World War II, the pandemic of 1918, yellow fever epidemics. And yeah, as a company, like many other companies out there, we had this milestone, 175th, coming into 2020. The idea being to try and reflect on that history and recognize how today we're living the same values. We're doing the same kinds of things for people, but also look on with some reverence to the generations before us that navigated those historic and truly trying events. And we all were faced with just such a historic and trying event in 2020. And I'm proud to be part of an industry that our business is about being there for when people need us, and they needed us in 2020. They still need us today. So that's something that I think for us, as you said, no better way to celebrate the values than embrace those values. And that's what our industry did, making sure we met all of our obligations. We did so. Our agents got on the phones. They called people up. They gave them confidence and assurance. Many of us across the industry put in place programs that allowed people to defer their premium payments in the period of time where they're worried about job insecurity or small businesses worried about surviving. So that's what our business is all about. And I think in many ways, what we showed is the strength, the resilience, and the importance of our industry and what it really can do for everyday people.
But Ted, how has COVID-19 impacted consumers' perception of life insurance? How should they be thinking about life insurance as part of their family financial security?
Right. Well, we all walk around knowing that almost everybody has someone that they love, that they care about, they feel a responsibility to take care of. And the heart of life insurance is loving somebody and then acting upon that love to put in place protection so that if something happens to you, they'll be taken care of. Now, while we know that, we don't think about it all the time. And that's actually a very good thing. We don't want people walking around worried. Part of our industry takes away that worry. But in this past year, that we all have a heightened sense of that mortality. We all had to change our behaviors. We all had to think about protections in every action. Even leaving our home was somehow threatening to our sense of our life and the kind of life that we want to have. So I think that what that did was that made it very conscious for people. Now, even with that, the vast majority of us don't get up and immediately start researching life insurance. But what it means is when you come across somebody, when somebody reaches out to you, the receptivity to listening to that person who could help you put in place the kind of protection you need is much greater. And we've seen that in terms of the activity levels once people get some degree of engagement.
So I think sometimes we make life insurance seem more complicated than it is. We sort of, fundamentally know that's probably a good thing, but where do I start? What do I do? One of those neighborhood chats, a woman said, well, I think I should be looking at this now, but I don't even know where to begin. So where does somebody begin?
Yeah. So it's a great question. And I think unintentionally, maybe we make it more complicated. It's as simple as finding somebody that you can trust to talk with, because while all of us, we live in a world where we go online and research everything, and we highly recommend there's great online resources to educate yourself about it. This is a really important decision. It's a really important decision because it does speak to what's important to you. And what we have found over the years is the way we get at that in life is not by ourselves. Right? We don't discover what's important to ourselves sitting alone in a room looking at a screen. We discover what's important about ourselves when we're talking with somebody or listening to somebody that we know we have aligned interests, we have a friendship, we have a trust. That's what our agents do each and every day. So my recommendation would be, if you know of somebody that you feel confident about and you have a relationship and they're in our business, ask them the question. Or if you know anybody in your family or friend group that has a relationship with a life insurance professional, ask them, do they like this person? You're likely going to hear that they do. Right? And they trust that person, and let them make an introduction for you. So, finding somebody, and there's so many professionals out there of all, genders and colors and creeds in your neighborhood. You can find somebody that you can trust to have that conversation. So that's what we'd recommend as the first step.
It sounds so simple because we do that with so many things. You'll get back onto the neighborhood chat. Well, where's a good plumber? Where is a good place to go to find this for my child? Who has the best recommendation on piano lessons? You can start there,
Exactly.
on something so critical like life insurance. Who do you recommend? I don't think people always realize that there's probably life insurance who are parents in their school or standing at the soccer field with them. Life insurance agents are part of the community, right?
This industry and the people that work in this industry are absolutely a part of the fabric of the industry. In fact, it attracts people that are natural relationship builders, community people. They serve on the local boards. They coach the soccer teams. They do that. And, we live in a world where not everybody immediately puts out there, what they do, and in fact, we like that. We like to have our world where we can build relationships, and they're built around the soccer game and the like. But the fact of the matter is they're all around you. All you have to do is actually show a little bit of interest or ask a couple of questions. It would surprise me that you couldn't ask 3 friends, just pick 3 friends, and then at least one of them wouldn't be able to say, actually, I didn't want to mention it, but now that you ask, I can tell you about a great person that I work with. That's absolutely the case.
So what about for people that are just starting their careers, like my daughter? She's just getting the hang of having benefits and thinking about putting together financial plans. Certainly, we raise those kind of things all the time in my family. But where should life insurance fit in if you're in your 20s or 30s in particular, when you're probably getting married and having kids? How should that younger generation think about life insurance?
Life insurance is an interesting thing because in many ways, it's perceived to be sort of an adult product. And it's because it really is associated with aspects of our lives where we're becoming sort of more full-fledged adults, right? So the typical times that people decide it's really important to now focus upon this. You're getting married, you're having kids, you're buying a home, that sense of commitment and responsibility. And part of that then gets channeled into, and I now have a responsibility. I want to make sure of even things beyond my control that I have done what I could do today to put that protection in place. And that's a perfectly, fine way to kind of go about it. It is actually great to be able to consider life insurance when you're young, because life insurance is a product that, frankly, assuming that you have relative normal health, the younger you buy it, the less expensive it is going to be. And many, many companies out there offer lifetime guarantees on the cost of that. But what you get is lifetime let's just say protection against something happening to your health that's different. So if, when you're 25, you buy life insurance, it's very inexpensive. And then later in life, you have some condition, the company is going to be there to pay that. And you're not going to get charged more later simply because your health has changed, because we made that promise at that time. So that's what I think. It's in many ways better to get it even when you're younger because of that. And finally, I think that it can be the foundation of a plan. If you think about in life, the way we approach important things, you first want to mitigate downsides, and then you look for upside, right? Well, life insurance really in many ways is the basis of a financial plan, which is that it takes out some of the worst risks that could happen. And then you can focus upon building the dreams. And so I'd recommend that people in their 20s, this is what they do. They put in place some basic protection. And as they grow into life, they know they have that guaranteed bedrock, and they can focus on longer term goals like savings and retirement and the like.
All right. So I'm going to stay with this because I know it's very basic to you, but I think these are the kind of questions I hear from my friends. So how do I think about, I've got to have some emergency savings. I have, a mortgage on my house. I have those kids and they have needs. Maybe I'm still trying to pay down my own student loan debt or now put money in a 529. So how do I afford life insurance in the middle of all this when there's so many other demands on the family budget? And if the pandemic ever lifts, we'd like to go on a little bit of a vacation too.
Sure. So look, the best answer to that whole series of questions is what you said to you before about sometimes we overcomplicate things. Is I've always thought, and this is what we preach, you sort of take the next best action and you bite off what you can bite off and you begin. People wait. Oftentimes, it's actually very difficult problems. Like people wait because they think the problem's going to get better. It's not going to get better. The fact of the matter is, just start. So what it would be is put in place, buy the least expensive form of life insurance at the beginning, which is term insurance. Right? Term insurance is incredibly inexpensive. People don't realize there's a lot of misconceptions around life insurance, but people don't realize that actually life insurance is a very flexible product, and it can be from extremely inexpensive to one that offers lots of other flexibility for you over your lifetime of needs. So what we'd recommend is just getting started, talking to a professional, sitting down, maybe buying some inexpensive term life insurance. And then if you want to begin looking at ways that you can save, if you're not maximizing your 401k, look to maximize your 401k. That's the kind of advice. Our agents provide lots of advice for people, even in ways for which they're not ultimately compensated, because they can't help but do that when they're part of that discussion and when they become that trusted advisor to you.
So explain to me a little about how the agent interfaces with your company or other life insurance companies. So somebody says, here's a fantastic agent. She helped me put together an entire financial plan, life insurance as part of it. What kind of experience does she have? What kind of training does she have? How can I be assured that this agent is going to be a good quality, knowledgeable advisor? Sure.
Well, today in the business, it is quite a substantial educational regimen that an agent has to go through. We attract people that want to help people. We attract people that want to learn. Most people come to us with very little financial experience, and they're, say, in their early, mid-20s, maybe even late 20s, or even early 30s after a second career. And they go through years of training. And in fact, most of the industry works off of a model where for about 3 years, you're in this hybrid status of you're working with people, but you're constantly having the benefit of others in the business and managers that can help train you, put you through all of the regulatory requirements, of course, but teach you how it is to connect with people, understanding enough about the various products and services, because financial services is a very broad landscape, and getting to the point where you can see how you can help people do that. So and today you can look up, if you have some questions about individuals, you can look up and find out about the backgrounds of various individuals out there. Find somebody that not only is a highly regarded, ethical, professionally trained person, but somebody, frankly, that you can relate to. So I think there's a lot of assurance. This is an industry that recognizes after decades and decades that the face of our industry are these men and women who serve the company, who serve both the companies as well as the individuals. And it's really important that that be a face that people can trust through and through. So I think that consumers today can have a high degree of confidence in both the integrity and the professionalism of the men and women who they're going to encounter in our industry.
Well, having had the pleasure of meeting some of them and talking to them one-on-one, I just can't reinforce enough their personal passion they have for getting it right and helping that family, not just getting the right policy and plan for themselves, but they're really there when, that's time, then there's something happened, there's been a loss of life in the family, unexpected. Those agents are remarkable people. Seems like this is a good career for people that might have a sense of mission about them and want to help people. They should come on in and look at careers in the life insurance.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that if you think about, which is how we attract people in this industry, it's an opportunity to sort of, in many ways, for people explore their own entrepreneurial instincts, be in business for themselves, but not by themselves, but be doing something that almost has that not-for-profit kind of causal element to it, right? I mean, helping people, this is what you do. There's like the individual and the societal level of that. On the individual level, that you get to go home every day. Yes, you're having tough conversations sometimes, and you're managing complex situations, but you're making sure that people are taking care of their families, and you're helping people become who they can be. All of us aspire to be the kind of person that takes care of others and does that. Helping people do that, man, there's probably no kind of greater sort of feeling of being able to do that. And at a societal level, knowing that what you're doing is ensuring that more and more people are protected and taken care of, and fewer kids have to worry about leaving their homes because one of their parents dies. That to me, there's a nobility to that people, it's hard to see from the outside, but once you're in an organization, or once you spend some time with one of our professionals, I think you can really understand that better.
And how many years have you been part of the life insurance family?
Well, I came into the business in 1995. So it's been a good run. It's been a very good run. I've been very fortunate. I came to New York Life, and I've been with New York Life that whole time.
It clearly spoke to you. So you're a testament to that it is a good career for people who want to.
Well, it's not I wasn't an agent. I have a brother who's a life insurance agent, which is phenomenal. And it gives me insights into the business and how people think. But I found that same sort of mix of, being able to be in an industry where it's competitive, and there's, it's a financial enterprise where you really have to make sure you understand that and get that right. And we pay out billions and billions of claims just at our company and across the industry, second to Social Security in terms of the contribution that we can make to people in terms of benefits and retirement and the like. But it's helping people. That is. That's worth working extra hard for.
So talk to me, though, about how the life insurance industry is modernizing. You've been around for 175 years. It can't be the same old way. You're reliable, but are you keeping pace with the times?
Sure. So this is a business that's been around for 175 years, so it's an old business. But the part of that is so good because it means it's built on foundational things. People love someone. They want to take care of someone. They protect somebody. And as we've talked about here today, it's also built around relationships and trust and engaging with people to get to know what's important to them, what matters most to them, and then helping them ensure that they can protect that, right? But that today, just like we're doing today, could be in this fashion. Face-to-face relationship building can be screen to screen, where we get to see each other. We get to engage, right? We get to pause and reflect in a dialogue. Video can enable that. And frankly, it can enable our agents to be able to even see more people, because less time spent traveling between customer locations in order to engage. So we put in place, the industry over the years has made a substantial investment in technology, but one of which is to allow video capabilities to relationship build and ultimately to transact business that can be done fully digitally. Because like every industry, we're aware there's a digital revolution taking place, and we need to participate in that. but all built around the idea of making a better customer experience. So how can we keep the elements of the customer experience, like I talked about, the warmth, the engagement, the trust, but make it, have less friction, make it go faster. Now, one of the challenges the industry has been trying to wrestle with is this, because we have to underwrite risk, is a very data intensive business and historically very paper oriented. Getting medical files and medical records from your doctor takes weeks and then is very consuming to go through and read that so that we can appropriately give you the best possible price given the current state of your health. Well, today we've got it where more than 25% of medical records are online. We have ability to access that so instantly we can get those records. And many companies across our industry are looking for ways to replace some of the traditional forms of information with data that can give you insights, data that you can acquire and get in seconds. So trying to make the customer experience, keep the personal face-to-face, even if digital engagement, but make the process one where somebody could fill out a very basic form and we can quickly tell them you're eligible and qualified to own a life insurance policy, and then be able to deliver that policy as opposed to in weeks, in days, and perhaps even at a point where we can do so in hours.
So you're trying to give us as the consumers everything we want. Unlimited personal time with the advisor to answer all our questions and get to know our needs, but then speed through some of the necessary form filling out and collecting information.
That's what everybody wants. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants. Yeah,
that's
exactly right. When we want it.
Exactly.
So talk a little about, we've launched the Help Protect Our Families initiative to just spotlight the importance of life insurance as part of family financial security. How can individual Americans benefit from this?
Sure. So our business is built around protecting people. Our business is a business of social good. And we have many people out there in the industry that represent us and many companies trying to do that. But we also know, and probably nothing makes this clearer than the pandemic we've been through. The pandemic disproportionately impacts people who have less means, right? And oftentimes in our society, that means people whose ethnicity is not the majority, right? And so what we have here is an opportunity, which we've all been doing, to take back, reflect, and raise the bar on ourselves to do a better job of targeting the underserved. Go deeper into the middle market. Go down and make sure that everybody has an opportunity, because the needs there are very real. In fact, you can make an argument that since the way we described this before, it's sort of the foundation of a plan, and it's ultimately about taking away some risk. The greatest risk, okay, the greatest parts of society are at risk are oftentimes the people that aren't as well served, not because anyone consciously doesn't serve them, but because, frankly, we haven't maybe tapped into every way that we can get in front of people and build relationships and help put the necessary protection in place. So I think what we're seeing out of our industry right now is a recognition that through the pandemic, we were able to prove how strong we were financially. We were able to show our humanity in the actions that we took. But we believe there's a higher societal calling, and now is a time to dig deep and take actions to address the more underserved communities across America.
All right, so there's 310,000 of those licensed professionals out there that are ready to help people. What's your best advice to them?
Yeah. So my best advice is if you found your way to this business, at the core of it, then what it is about is helping people. Look around. Look around. This environment that we're in today has made it clear how much help people need, how valuable that what you do is. I truly believe this is a noble profession. This is a business of social good. You can have an individual impact, and you get to be in the kind of business where you get to see it. You get to see it when you're at the graduation. You get to see it and know that, you put in place a plan. Because as we talk about life insurance for protection purposes, but life insurance, which is the core of what the vast majority of our agents are out there doing, life insurance, retirement security, but it provides many other benefits. I went to college because my dad borrowed against his life insurance policy. Were it not for a nudge from an insurance agent years before, and him putting in place that program, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to the college of my choice. It changed my trajectory in life, right? And you get to see that. You get to have that firsthand impact. So my advice is keep doing what you're doing. Recognize that probably there's never been a greater need for what we do, which is helping people. And that if there is this period of time, if we want to find one of the silver linings in this pandemic, maybe this, for a period of time, people are more conscious, not just of their own mortality, but of what is truly important to them. And that's what you get to talk to them about and help them protect.
I mean, that's irresistible. It's such a great call to arms and a great charge. So the last question, though, I'm going to ask is about those in elected office, both in Washington and state capitals, because they too are keenly concerned about helping people and addressing their financial security needs. What do you want them to know, governors, members of Congress, state legislators, about life insurance?
Yeah, I would say this, that while many industries will position themselves as a partner to government, this industry is proven its worthiness in doing so. We have people today that are tapping into and have tapped into the core American value of self-reliance to put in place programs for their families so that they do not need to rely upon government, all right, if something happens to their family, or they do not need to rely upon government to provide an income. Our government feels a responsibility to make sure that everybody has a chance at the American dream, everybody can navigate uncertainty and trouble in their life, and everybody can live a dignified retirement. But our government knows we can't, as a country, afford to pay for everybody to have that. You need a partner. And that's who we've been in New York Life's case for 175 years, but an industry for decades and decades and decades. So think of this industry as your private sector partner for doing that, right? Our country's been around for many, many, many years and will be around for many years after this. What this industry is all about: long-term promises, long-term protection, and being able to work together in a way that, I said, consistent with values, really important American values like self-reliance, but also consistent with the value of we need to take care of everybody, the humanity of knowing that people get protected. So that's what I'd like our registered officials to understand and to recognize that our agents, the people that you know in your communities and you know them, right? They do more than just provide financial products and services. They tap into and help people become who they can be, right? And they do that in a caring and humane way. So what better partner than to have one who's proven to be financially second to none, one who is proven to be there for people when they need it, one who's proven to take away some of the obligations that government would feel, and one who's proven to be able to do that consistent with core American values like self-reliance and humanity and dignified treatment of other people.
A proven partner for government, for communities, for people, the life insurance industry. This has been not just a good discussion, it's been an excellent discussion and very inspiring. So Ted, we thank you for joining our kitchen table conversation today. And we thank everybody for tuning in and look forward to continuing the dialogue as part of our Protecting Every Future community. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Susan.